this. And check, check. Give it a minute. Let me refresh. Okay, I believe we are good to go. Let me see if I can get a thumbs up. If you have the audio open on another device, if you can turn that down so we don't get the echo of me, if you don't mind. Thank you. And let me see if I can get a thumbs up on, let me check on my other device.
You gotta tell me when it's 2 o'clock too.
Okay, I will. Got a slight here. Let's hit play. I think we're going. Okay, yeah. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. I am Stephen Durham. My team member, Matt Balka, had some technical difficulties, so I'm going to jump in and get the show going again. I'm very happy. I was following along and saw when we started to have issues. But we are back. We have, it looks like, about 11 more minutes. So, ladies, I will let you take over where you left off. Thank you.
Thank you. So puppets do not need to be expensive. You can use simple household objects. For instance, I have a sock that I had. I took some lids from some containers and some little hair elastics. And then here I have a puppet. And this puppet's name is Alpha. Alpha loves the letters of the alphabet. She has some unique abilities. She can taste and feel letters. So she puts the letter in her mouth and she tastes it and she feels it, and then she tells us it's letter I. And Alpha loves to listen. Are we still on?
Yes, yeah, you're all good.
Alpha loves to sing alphabet songs. She loves the Big Day for Pre-K, each week's theme alphabet book, and she also likes to play some games. So these are a couple of things you can do if you have the magnetic letters. One thing that Alpha loves to do is she covers her eyes up, and you tell the children that she cannot see and that they're to pick a letter and put it behind their back. So Alpha then tries to figure out which letter is missing, sometimes from the children. Sometimes, though, Alpha takes the letter and while the children's eyes are closed, and they try to guess or figure out from memory which letter was missing. Now you can have, this can be differentiated. You can use 2 to 3 letters. You can go as many as the children are able to determine which one is missing. Another game that Alpha likes to play with is the 3-cup shuffle, where you put a letter underneath the cup, then you shuffle the cups, and the children try to determine which cup the letter is under. This is one technique. Another is to take like an old glove, and I've taken a glove, and I just put some clouds, because right now we're under the theme nature all around us. So I just made one with clouds on it to encourage the language again, and to incorporate counting. So this is 5 little clouds up in the sky, and then you have them count. They can use their magnetic numbers to help you determine which number is number 5, and then 5 little clouds up in the sky, drifting, floating, way up high. One disappears from the sky so blue when a big gust of wind came blowing through. Then you help the children again count how many clouds are left. Again, to incorporate this, we have the rhyme cloud pictures from the big day. Look up at the sky and what do you see? Clouds moving slowly above you and me. Again, those are poems, they're rhymes. You incorporate the props and the puppets to just engage the children in the language. Another household item I took was just a simple rock. I took crayons, I colored it into a ladybug, and I took the poem from the big day for pre-K. Ladybug, ladybug, where will you land? Will you rest on my nose? Will you rest on my hand? Ladybug, ladybug, where did you go? Did you land on my head? No, you're on my toe. So it's just something very simple, very inexpensive. But again, what your goal here is to get the language, getting children to engage with the language, interact with the language, and talk about in a fun, playful manner. With the book Giraffes Can't Dance, I took the cardboard from the back of cereal boxes, colored them, took sticks from in my yard, made colored masks to act out the story, Giraffes Can't Dance, but then also to talk about how the characters felt when Giraffe was told he couldn't dance, and just to use the mask just to extend the story a little bit longer. Another prop that you can take from a household item is just a tin can. I took the tin can, took the paper off, reversed it till it was on the white side, colored it, and turned it into a beehive. Again, here's a beehive, but where are all the bees? Hiding away where nobody sees. Here they come flying out of their hive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, you're talking about the beehive. Another rhyme at the same time with the big day for pre-K is the Buzzy Bee song that you can use. Another prop is, the eye just popped off. It's glued on, sorry. And this is Numberella. She's made from a spoon, and her job is she likes to count. So this can be used in the classroom or have parents help to make these at home, but just using the spoon puppet to help the children count with one-to-one correspondence. Another activity that I made just from home is taking the cardboard tubes, making faces on them, and the cardboard tubes are going to represent the tin in the bed from the big day for pre-K, and you're going to count again. Numberella can help you count, and then they easily just roll right off the bed when the little one says when they roll over. And again, this is a simple subtraction, counting, and exposing the children to the numbers. Another activity is I just took a grocery ad. I took strips of the paper, and I just kept taking the paper and folding it in back. Just, I don't know if you can see, but it's very simple, very easy. Once you are finished, I took again 6 from out in my yard, and I have turned it into a snake.
Very cool.
A snake, he likes to wiggle, waggle, wiggle, waggle, wiggle, waggle. A snake, he likes to wiggle, waggle down upon the ground. And then that's just one. Again, you're doing the language. And then another one is a hungry snake in the grass am I, creeping low and creeping high. In and out the grass I go, up and down and to and fro. I swallow mice and rabbits too. Look out, or I might swallow you. So that is just something to do, very easy to make the snake. Another one is folded paper to make a paper bird. This is just from another grocery sale ad. I used some junk mail. And again, get those poems and those rhymes. Once I saw a little bird go hop, hop, hop. So I told the little bird to stop, stop, stop. I went to the window to say, how do you do? He wagged his tail and far away he flew. Again, that is just another rhyme, another way to keep children engaged. The props, the puppets, just any type of a simple object keeps the children engaged. They're clued in. Another Big Day song can go with this is the Rockin' Robin song for that. So another one to do is shadow plays. So if you're at home, is to move towards a light source, or if you have a lamp. And again, just taking little rhymes, but I've taken some from the Big Day for Pre-K, and this is called This is a Family. This is a family, let's count them and see how many there are and who they can be. This is a mother who cares for everyone. This is a father who has lots of fun. This is the baby, he's growing each day. But who is this one? He's out there alone. Why, it's Jackie the dog. He's chewing a bone. You can, and the finger plays again, you can do Little Miss Muffet, set on her tuffet, making the spider with your hands so that they're seeing the shadow. Then you have Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Again, you can do this in the shadow pose. Just fold your hands till it makes like an egg. And then when he falls, then all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. So again, another way to take this and extend it and enrich it is, instead of Humpty Dumpty, we're going to take Jared's J and Leah's L. J, Leah, L. So we're going to change Humpty Dumpty to using Jared's letter in his name, Jumpty, and Leah's L for Lumpty. And we're going to say, Jumpty Lumpty sat on a wall, Jumpty Lumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together. I couldn't put Jumpty Lumpty together again. Again, you can just change the beginning sound and encourage the children to chant along with you. The one thing I do want to close with is incorporating a flannel board. Flannel boards can be very simple, but sometimes one thing in classrooms, you may not have access to felder material when you're at home, but flannel boards can create a more intriguing approach with sharing tales or poems, chants, and rhymes. There is a certain degree of motion, like if you're doing the 5 green and speckled frogs. This animation can be when one jumps into it. This animation can be what is needed for some children to benefit from a book experience when books haven't been successful. So sometimes if you've tried books and books aren't working, switch to another means where they can actually help you have the frog to jump.
That's great. Thank you very much for sharing all that. We've had many pre-K staff members come here and ask for ideas. And normally, we have lots of students out there using technology, but a lot of those younger kids maybe aren't ready for the technology yet or aren't comfortable. And you found very creative ways that they can get crafty with just things at home and still continue their learning. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, Lynn. And I don't think we have any questions. I think they've all been answered in the chat. Barbara Johnson says great ideas and hopes you have more trainings. Do you have another training scheduled this week or next?
We have one tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
One tomorrow at 10 o'clock, Barbara. Yes.
Is there any way we can get the feedback from the chat box?
Yes. I will have Sade or Matthew, if you can share the chat and get that to them, that would be great. Thank you. But yes, thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Mary. We appreciate you sharing. And like I said, if you missed this or came in on the end or missed it because of technical difficulties, they'll be back tomorrow at 10. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
And just speaking of puppets, I just wanted to go, it's 2:02. But if you want to see more about, so let's say you have preschool kids.
Let's talking to me.
Oh, I'm talking to everybody watching. You guys can end your meet if you want. Yeah, that's fine. And we'll get the next one on here. But I want to get into our next group right away. But if you get a chance, you got young kids and you want to teach them about technology, go to YouTube and search for Good Computer Kid. Russ Hockenberry, when he was a technology teacher at Chenoweth, made some awesome animation and puppet videos about technology. And I always showed my kindergarten and first grade students these videos, and they love them. So, Good Computer Kids on YouTube. Check it out. So next up, let me check the schedule because I just jumped in here. And we can find the schedule at jcps.me/NTI. And then we're going to go to the teacher toolkit. And we have the virtual training schedule. And it is Thursday. And we're at our 2:00 slot. So NTI, oh, very good. I was with these people yesterday, the DEP resource teachers. NTI, ARE tool, equitable pedagogy. So that's kind of a mouthful. And here is their resource right here. So you can click on that and you can get their presentation. But I will head over to them right now. If we have Kanita and Rachel, are you ladies ready?
Sure are.
All right. And who would like to start?
I am.
All right.
So we ready?
We're ready. You're on.
All right, great. So I am Rachel Klein, and I have Kanita here with me who's going to screen share. So I'm going to give her a chance to do that. While she's doing so, you're absolutely right. My team and I have been here all week, and we produced what we are calling the NTI ARE Tool One Pager. And this checklist, you'll see it in a few slides. But Kanita, is everything working? Are we good to go?
Do you see it up?
I'm switching over to it now. Do you have the closed caption? You're on it.
Well.
Thank you, Kanita. All right, we're ready to rock.
Great, thank you. So all week we have been walking you through the various components of this tool. And today we are going to jump into equitable pedagogy. So please change that slide over. All right, so we are looking at some objectives to begin with. So first and foremost, we want to familiarize ourselves with what equitable pedagogy actually is. I will walk you through some specific do's and don'ts of equitable pedagogy that relate to NTI. And hopefully we can leave with some strategies that make sure that we are finding ways for all of our students to be successful. So let's keep moving. All right. So if you have joined us all week, this should be rather similar. And so we know that this NTI is the right now normal. And there are so many really positive components to it. But when we really do stop to think of how we are doing it, especially in JCPS, we know that there are some issues with equity. But I actually want to encourage those of you who are here today to hop into that chat box and discuss ways in which NTI might actually solve or positively address some of these equity issues. So I'm going to give you a few moments to respond there. And I've got my lovely teammates in the chat box who can help field some of those comments as well. How can NTI actually be helpful in solving some equity issues? That's the question we're thinking about and responding in the chat box. There's a big one coming up right there where we realized where there were issues of access across the district, and the response was to redistribute Chromebooks into homes so that we can provide that digital connection from home. What else? Keep going in that chat box. Yeah,
while they're adding to that, that was my comment, and I'm part of the innovation team. I kind of know what's going on with the distribution of Chromebooks. And before we normally did the student survey, and we'd ask people, do you have a device at home, and do you have internet connection at home? And the thing is, that's great. We get the data from the ones that come back, but if people don't complete that survey, we didn't really have that data. And now it's been great to really know, like, okay, we have these people need internet access, and these people need access to devices, and it's really helped light up where there was that need for access.
And I am seeing some folks making mention that not only are we starting to realize the specificity around those gaps, but now we are learning ways in which to fill them with tech. Obviously, that's not the only answer, but with NTI, it's one place to start. I'm seeing some folks in the chat saying that students are comfortable in various environments, and if home happens to be one of those places, then learning in that environment may very well change for those kids. Flexibility is one of the major components coming out of NTI here as well. So we are looking at how we meet the needs of everybody. We're putting on our teacher thinking caps and wrapping our minds and hearts around this. I'm going to continue to let my team respond in the chat, and we're going to keep going. So Kenita, if you would please switch the slide. All right. And on this note, and the chat box really is showing me that we are in the right mindset here. We've got, before we do anything with NTI, we've got to recognize that it is a balancing act. So we want our instruction, whether it's online or offline, to be responsive, to be engaging, to be meaningful and relevant. And we've got to balance all of that with our acknowledgement that our kids are going through a myriad of experiences with quarantine and with COVID. And for a lot, it may spell trauma or job loss, stress, anxiety. So I think that this message is loud and clear, but we need to keep shouting it, that we've got to put humanity first. And then we move from there. So Kenita, I think the next slide does a great job. This comes out of our team, specifically Aben Cook designed this, where if you've been here throughout the week, you've seen this graphic. It's a way for you to realize that while we all are going through this pandemic together, the way that we experience it is vastly different. So this graphic hopefully gives you just more insight into that and fosters that sense of humility that we need to have in order to approach NTI. So I'll let that kind of hang for just a moment. If you've got any comments, responses to this, please put it in the chat. And let's keep moving, Kenita. So this is the one-pager that holds all of the components of the NTI-R tool that we've designed. Again, we're looking specifically at equitable pedagogy, and that descriptor is on the following slide. So let's display that, please. So the question that came out of that previous slide, that checklist, it is encouraging teachers and the PLCs with whom they plan to ask, are you modifying your strategies, your resources, and your methods to facilitate academic achievement of our underrepresented societal groups? So what is that really getting at? What are we trying to help you understand? So we pulled out some language from the larger ARE tool, and you'll see it on the following 3 slides. If we can move on to the next one. The first thing we want people who are designing NTI instruction to think about is, what are we doing to personalize instruction, but also what are we doing to make sure that it is rigorous and that we are scaffolding our support? So we, of course, want our teachers to call upon what they already know about their kids to make an informed instructional decision. And thinking about what we know about our kids, that means that we cannot assume that what works well for one student works well for another. So that requires finesse, it requires observational skills, it requires us to really know who our kiddos are. And that lends itself to flexibility. We've got to be flexible in our thinking, in our planning, in the assignments we provide, considering that we're providing both online and offline assignments What can we do to be flexible? What can we do to provide options? And with that, no matter what types of learners we have, where they're coming from, how they're approaching NTI, we cannot assume that any of our children have the same preference for tasks or for the products they want to create. And then finally, culture is an enormous resource. If we're not using that to inform the choices we make, then we've got to. That's an enormous opportunity to not just know our kids, but to know how their brains are wired. And so we can't assume that just because you learn a certain way that your kids prefer that as well.
That's one of the things I try to focus on, the positives that are going to come out of this, and the fact that so many teachers are getting comfortable by creating choice boards and choice lessons. I think is going to carry over once we are back in school. And I've had people already say, a PE teacher the other day say, when I go back, I'm not going to have every kid doing the same thing. They're going to have choices. So I think that's great.
And this has certainly revealed the necessity of choice. And so you're absolutely right. When we do go back, I hope it's not normal. I hope it's not what it used to be. I hope that we've learned from this, that kids are an enormous asset in the classroom, and we have to maximize on what they are bringing to us. It cannot revolve around our choices and our preferences. We've got to put that in our kids' hands. All right, thank you. Kenita, next slide, please. All right, so some more do's and don'ts here. We are thinking of equitable pedagogy in terms of how we make our decisions. And of course, we want our decisions to be helpful for our students. We don't want to harm them. So of course, that power of observation is big here. And again, making those informed decisions should be based on our observations. And this is a huge one during NTI. We cannot assume that our kids all have the exact same resources, the exact amount of time, the same types of supports, or just availability of being able to use a computer. So our timeline cannot be forced upon our students. And so that does lend itself well to the expectations that we hold, and that requires enormous flexibility. And when we do have assignments returned to us, it's our job to provide not just feedback, but effective feedback. Good job says nothing. It doesn't tell a student where they're excelling, and it doesn't tell them ways in which they need to be making improvements. So then in the don't column, we can't hold expectations that are unfair, unreasonable, irrelevant to the individual. Let's move forward. All right. Last set of looking at equitable pedagogy specifically through the NTI lens. We've used these words frequently, and they're huge right now, of course. Compassion and flexibility, we should be always thinking that way, no matter what the setting is. But during NTI, that's got to drive the choices we make. We've got to be able to find ways in which to commit ourselves to each child's success in a way that shows compassion. It acknowledges where they are in that storm. When you have time to study that graphic, if you pull this link, you'll see all the different things that may be a sprinkle in one kid's life and an absolute deluge in another. So back to that timeline, we can't assume that every child has time for your assignments on your timeline. Knowing who they are, knowing what they're experiencing allows us to demonstrate that compassion and that flexibility. And similarly, due dates as a hard timeline for accepting completed work just doesn't work. There are so many different things that our students are experiencing, and showing the compassion to accept work and provide feedback, that's what needs to happen. And finally, we should be creating safety nets for our kids that don't punish failure. Failure should be information. It should be a data point. It should allow us to then go on and support the child in overcoming said failure and giving them the supports that they need to be able to succeed. Failure can be a means of reflection. It can be a means of goal setting. And our feedback should lead our students to be reflective. It should lead them to set different goals. And so when we fail to provide that, then our student is left with a lot of questions and feeling perhaps that they're not supported. All right. So, Kanita, keep us moving, please. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to the chat again. I've given you some pointers, but also some things to avoid. I want to know what types of positive impacts that equitable pedagogy can have on our instructional choices, the culture we establish with our students, and on their success. What can equitable pedagogy do for us when we begin to sort of rethink our approach? So I'm going to keep an eye on the chat and see what my teammates are sharing as well. There's a comment there, and again, maybe with the lag that I'm a little behind, but it does, this whole new approach is forcing us to make improvements to our teaching because things are being brought to the forefront and we have to grapple with them. We have to make choices around them now. Nairi says it really well. There's no such thing as a failure. It's just another opportunity for learning, improving, and growing. It should not be a punitive thing. It should not be a period at the end of a sentence. It should be a comma along the way.
Yeah, there's like from the time you say it till when it's live on YouTube, it's almost like 30 seconds to a minute sometimes. So
that's okay. That's all right. Another comment in there where when we provide effective feedback, when we show compassion, when we demonstrate that we are flexible, then our students will come with a deeper feeling of trust. It forms that relationship that is critical in the classroom, K-12 and beyond. And then we are opening ourselves up to stronger relationships with stakeholders, whether that's other teachers or our students, their families and caregivers, the surrounding neighborhoods and communities. That's critical. Anything else in the chat before we move forward? All right. So, Kanita, thank you. You read my mind. I want to bring it back to the graphic that we saw at the beginning. We are all in this same storm, but we are not in the same boat. And if we are to extend that metaphor, we think about what something as simple as a rowboat might have equipped on it versus maybe a step up and it's a fishing boat, or you look at a yacht or a cruise liner and you start comparing what they have and what they don't have. So many of our families and their kids are equipped with very little up to quite a bit. And no matter what, we do need to consider the variety of experiences that our students are having. So we've got to acknowledge the very real potential for job loss. Parents are bringing home the stress of maybe losing their job or just not knowing. A lot of our kids come to school and have consistent access to mental health care. And I know our counselors are doing their best to make themselves available, but with limited or restrained access to mental health care, we have to remember that. And something I've read that really struck me, because I have a kiddo at home, she's 6, and quite often what they're thinking and feeling doesn't manifest in a reaction that necessarily matches the feeling. So sometimes our kids don't know how to express what's going on inside, and it shows up in a variety of different ways. Doesn't matter. We owe it to every single one of our students to be flexible, to provide them grace, and to ensure that what we are providing in this time is work that is meaningful, work that is relevant. And I do encourage you to tune in tomorrow. Shashree has some really excellent ideas and resources for how we can even bring the learning home here to Louisville. And I don't want to give away her content, but she's got some really cool things that she wants to share with you. So I want to leave a few moments for any extra lingering questions to pop up in the chat, but if you move on to that last slide for me, please, or second to last one. So I want to leave you with one more resource, and then I'll share with you where I pulled some of my ideas. Our team in developing the R-Tool checklist, within equitable pedagogy, we realized that there are going to be plenty of people who may want to make sure that they are checking their work. And so we developed a checklist that helps you examine what you're putting in front of kids and make sure that it is in fact equitable. As we continue to share and find good resources and see good work that's going out there, we use our hashtag ARERUJCPS. And that's also a great way to comb through what people have posted in the past several months and maybe get inspiration that way. So, Kenita, if you leave it on that last slide with your zone contact, I'm going to head back to the chat and see if there's anything else lingering. And now's a perfect opportunity for reactions, comments, questions, maybe asking for some content you'd like to see in the future.
Rachel, would you go back on that checklist?
Are you going to open it for us? Is that what you'd like to do?
I can do that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes. Just waiting to see that pop up.
I've clicked it, but
It was up.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I have it.
Oh, okay, good. Kenita, you want to maybe share something? You seem to have something on your mind. Go for it.
Well, this is just another way that we can be very, very intentional about the work that we are doing to move racial equity forward. We just don't want to put a whole bunch of resources in your hands. We want to be able to have those resources, to be able to have some foundation, to be able to be rooted to some sustainable practices, as well as to keep us mindful of just the small steps that we can do to really support our learners and families during NTI. So similar to the larger NTI R-Tool resource, we've structured this as a checklist as well, again, just for ease of access, to support those practices, to support our learners. So some things to consider is like, have you structured academic and social interactions between students for all students? So via technology, phone, snail mail. So are you connecting to your community of learners? Are they able to connect to each other? And of course, if this is something that you have not thought about, or you thought about somewhat, within the NTI one-pager itself, we have resources embedded within it. And then again, you can always contact any of us from Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3, AS Elementary, Middle, or High School.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, obviously, this has all been a shakeup, and I hope that when we head back or as we move forward, everybody had to change their approach, and hopefully they take this into account and the choice and a lot of those positive things moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you. And I've been watching the chat. It doesn't seem like there's any more questions for our team specifically. But to those of you who are here today, your presence is much appreciated. I know we have a lot of things to think about, but I think we've got some positive directions to go. So thank you for offering time on the platform, and we look forward to connecting with you all in the future.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate you both being here. And let's see who's coming up next. I think I see Cheryl Bibby already. Let's check the schedule on jcps.me/NTI and go to the virtual training schedule. And we are up to Thursday. And next up, looks like we're going to have using Jamboard for voice choice and collaboration with Cheryl Bibby. And if you hover over her name, there will be that presentation. So if you want to get that information, you can. Also, our last presentation has their resources right here. If you hover over that, you can get that and save that as well. We have a few more minutes. Thank you all for joining us. Make sure if you're just getting here, please introduce yourself on the chat and let us know who you are and where you're from and what you do. If you're having an issue posting in the chat, you want to make sure that you are signed into YouTube with your JCPS credentials, username, and password, and that will allow you to be able to post in the chat. So let's take a look at what's going on Twitter.
And will you tell me how to share my screen and all that stuff?
I will. Yes, I will be back in 1 minute and we'll get you all set up, Cheryl. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if you go to Twitter and right now and you search the hashtag, and they were talking about their hashtag is I hope I don't mess it up. Are we JCPS? We are JC. It was one of those. I'm sorry. I have to go back and look at that. But my team's is JCPS Dig In for digital innovation. And I hope you follow us. And no, I don't want to tweet. I wanted to search. So hashtag JCPS Dig In. And right here, you can see, for example, if you follow us, you'll see that we tweeted out about the Jamboard session today. So it's a good way to know what's going to be coming up. And also, you'll notice some of our team members were celebrating STCs, School Technology Coordinators. Every school has a STC, and they help manage the technology at the school and support the staff and students in the use of that technology. And obviously, they have been a key player in how we deal with NTI, since so much of what just supporting teachers using their technology at home, as well as the students that are using technology to continue their learning. So make sure you follow us on the digital learning or on Twitter. And now let me head back over and get Cheryl ready. So Cheryl, to present your screen, you just click the 3 dots up in the top corner. Hold on, turn your, I think you're muted. So hover down below and look for this little microphone, and you want to click on that so you're unmuted.
Sorry.
That's okay. You're good to go now. And then you're going to look for the 3 dots up in the top corner.
Got it.
Okay, click on that, and then it's going to say share screen. And then you're going to click on, you can share your whole desktop, I believe is fine, or share the window.
Okay, I think I am sharing. Am I not?
You are not. Normally you have to, there should be a blue button after that. So share full screen, share your full screen, and then you still have to click on, so like when you go to share, here, I'll show you, like,
Oh.
And then you'll have to actually pick, there you go, you're getting there.
Okay. And then.
So now go to your slide presentation. All right, go to present mode.
There we go.
And then come right down here on the bottom and click on that closed caption.
Got it.
And we are ready to rock. It is 2:30.
Right.
I'm Stephen Durham. I'll be your moderator, and we are here with Cheryl Bibby. And Cheryl is going to share a very cool tool that a lot of people have been interested in lately and using with their students, Jamboard. So take it away, Cheryl. Thank you.
All right. I do not know how to show my face and my screen, so I'm just going to.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Keep going from there. So this is Jamboard, Voice, Choice, and Collaboration. I am Cheryl Bibby, and I have been in the district. I think this is my 23rd year, so I've been here a while, and I am a deeper learning resource teacher. And from there, I started thinking about Jamboard. I talked to a former colleague of mine, Leanna Brennick, and we were kind of having conversation about NTI. What are we going to do? And one thing I wanted to do is increase voice and choice. And she said, well, what about Jamboard? So I started looking at it. I realized it was an interactive whiteboard, that we already had access to it in the G Suite. So went there, and I've been loving it ever since. So I'm going to share with you that, some of the jams that I have created. And hopefully you all can take it from there and make them even better and use them in your classrooms. So some of the things you can do with Jamboard, of course, you can collaborate and share and create and respond, and teachers can do it with each other and students can do it with each other, and you can all do it together. It's been a great resource. This is the question that I came up with when talking to her. I said, how can teachers increase voice, choice, and collaboration among their students during this time? We know that student voice is important. We still have to find opportunities for them to share who they are, what they're thinking, what their passions are, what their hobbies are, what they're interested in. We still want to hear those things. And Jamboard was just one of the ways that I came up with that would allow students to continue that relationship building, just as if they were in the classroom. So I thought about my own classroom way back when, and I know that I always started with a morning meeting. Now I'm going to take you through the jams, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on how Jamboard works. I think Elaine is going to be doing a session more on the tips and tricks and how it works. But I'm just going to show you the jams that I came up with and how I planned on using them. And then hopefully you can play around with it and take it from there. So here's my first one. I always started with a morning meeting. So the first jam I created was just that. It was a morning meeting jam. Now I'm going to take you right to it so you can see what it would look like in Jamboard. And this is what you get. It's really just a blank board. And what I have done is added some numbers to this board because I wanted to make sure that you could, you would be able to, keep up with what kid answered and when. So these are just clip art that I found. And in our morning meeting, I might say to them, find your number. In my classroom, all the kids had a number. They knew their number. I didn't always, go by their name on their folders and on their work. They knew their number. So I put a sticky note here with numbers already on it. So I would model for them that you click it, you make a duplicate, and you can show me how you're feeling that day. I could put names and they could respond on their name just this way. And I would still know who responded and how they're feeling. Now, of course, if day after day I'm getting sad faces from my number 9 student here, I can make a phone call. I can have a conversation. I can find out why they're sad every time they come to our morning meeting. And maybe that's something that I can work on with them. This board has extra boards here, as you can see. So I could keep this going day after day. I could start on another board and have different ways to have morning meeting. But this was just one that I decided on. It was easy for kids to do. They can just kind of tell how they're feeling that morning.
That's great. And the students can access that. So for example, if you made a Jamboard and wanted to share it with your students while they're at home during NTI, would they just access it through the link, or would they access it through their Google account as well?
They could access it through the link. I'll show you how I have things in my Google Classroom that the kids would have access
great.
to. So we'll get to that too in just a moment. The other thing that I always had in my classroom was a wonder wall. I always wanted kids to have a place that they could question and wonder and think about anything that we just read or something they saw on TV or whatever it was they wanted to wonder about. I always had a wonder wall. So that was the next jam that I created. And it's just that. It's just a wall where they can wonder. And you can change the background. So here I kind of made it look like a blackboard, but I could have had blue. I could have the lined paper, just a few background changes, but I wanted to go with black for this wall. And kids, you can see, we just kind of made up some that kids could possibly say, where does coffee come from and why can't kids have it? I wish, I could help my neighbor, blah, blah, blah. Just different ways that kids might wonder about what's going on in the world, what's going on around them. I also made this in drawing, this little heart. And that's the way that I would respond to kids after they have put something on the wall. I can respond to them in this clip art, and they know that that came from me. So this kid is saying, I wish I could help my neighbor get groceries. I'm responding with, this is an awesome thought. How can I help? So now I maybe will have more conversation with this student about why their neighbor needs groceries and what's going on, and how can we possibly turn that into a project. And I'm pausing because I cannot see the chat or anything. So you just tell me what.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay. Perfect. All right, so this was another board. It's just a wall. Once again, I could use numbers for them to respond, and then that way I'll know which kid is saying what without them putting their name on it. That's another possibility.
Do have a couple questions.
Mhm.
Cheryl, is this an app as well? Could students use this and access it through their an iPad or an iOS device?
Yes, it works on all devices. Oops, I'm not sure what I just did.
You might have to go back to your screen share. You might have stopped it.
Oh.
And while you do that, let me pull up this other question. Will all students have access to be able to change someone else's number?
Yes, and that is one of the issues with Jamboard. It's a problem that, nothing is locked down. So you are able to go into others' work, you can change things, you can make it into a PDF, but for the most part, yes, it is wide open for such issues as those.
And while you're getting going, I'd like to speak on that as well. We have a lot of teachers, that now that they're using technology for their classroom, like, okay, what about students that do this during a meet? Or what about students that do this when we're using a Jamboard? And just like teachers set their expectations in their classroom, you're going to have to set your expectations for these virtual classrooms and the technology tools you're using. So you just say, this is the expectation for how we're going to use Jamboard, and teach them that digital citizenship and following the expectation of your classroom and how the teacher's doing things, even if they're not in the physical classroom.
Yes. Okay. Am I back to sharing? I'm not sure.
You are. And then you can just click up there. Yep. And you're
Okay.
good to go. We see the Wonder Wall.
Yes, thank you. So that was one that I had created. Then I thought about how can you get student voice through current events. So just, a number of things. You could post a picture. I always, in my classroom, and once again, I always thought about my classroom during this whole process. What would I have going on? Well, I always collected pictures from old calendars, from, kids' album covers, things like that. I always had things in the room to spark ideas and to get them thinking. So this is just a picture, of course, of Thunder over Louisville. I'm hoping that kids will respond, and I'm looking for very different responses here. That's the thing about this voice and choice. Once I start talking a little bit more about the choice, I'm looking for nuggets of information here that the kids are giving me. For example, this one says, my dad has a food truck during Thunder, and I work with him on that truck. I'm seeing that, and I'm thinking right away, oh my goodness, there's an idea for a possible project that this kid could do. They could interview their dad. They could talk about how to run a food truck. So I'm looking at all their sticky notes and thinking about the information that they're giving me and how I can help them mine that information for a little more choice and projects that they can possibly do. Here's another one. I love fireworks. My dog runs and hides when they hear them or when he hears them. So I'm thinking there. I'm always thinking as I read their sticky notes about what projects and what ideas could possibly come from their work. Once again, current event. A lot of you probably saw this in the news. Well, so did your students. So why not talk about it? Is there a message here? What does this art say to you? And let the kids respond to it. Once again, this might turn into a project for kids. They might walk their neighborhood and look for more art and decide what it is saying to them. They might start their own art project. They might write a poem about some of the art that they see. So I'm always using the Jamboard to hear their voice and then to take them to the next step of possible projects.
That's a great idea. I love that.
Great, thank you. Okay, so and once again, just a little bit more voice through content. I didn't spend a lot of time on content. I've seen a few of the other virtual PDs that have gone on, and I know that there are others talking about content and Jamboard, but I do want you to know that there are some opportunities there. For example, this content board with the flower growing through the cracks, I got that from our science coach, Charlotte Ivy, and she was like, yeah, this is exactly what second grade is doing right now. They need to be thinking about how something can grow this way. So what if this is a Jamboard that starts with a before? What do you see? And kids are now answering to what they see. Then I'm going to do a live lesson, or I'm going to provide an ebook, or I'm going to provide some information on this topic. Then I'm going to put the Jamboard back up, and hopefully I can use it as a formative assessment. Have they learned some new information? Did they gain from the activity? And now they've got this picture in their mind that will help them to, grasp on to the new information that they've learned. Same thing with math. This came from Illustrative Mathematics, their site. Talking to Elizabeth Reed, I'm all about collaborating. So I talk to everybody and get ideas. Elizabeth said, yeah, this can be done with number talks. And I think they're going to be doing some work with that in PD as well. But here's a picture already. Here's the questions already. If you remove the piece that asks them to describe the number of duck feet, you could put that on sticky notes and the kids could work on that as an activity as well while you're watching them work, if they are working from the link in your Google Classroom. This one is going on right now. It's called Estimation Extravaganza. I got this from Susan Wine, the AIC at Dunn. She just put some almonds in a 1/4 cup, looks probably on her kitchen counter, and asked the kids, how many almonds are in this cup? This is a school-wide activity. So if you look at her board, there are probably, I would say, maybe 4 more boards that look exactly like this one, with kids trying to estimate how many might be in there. Now, I can think of a lot of projects that could come from this. Kids could do their own shows and estimating and thinking about how they do this kind of work on, they could do it on their Google, in the Google Classroom. They could make YouTube videos. She's just kind of sparking them to think about how they can work together to estimate. So this can be done in a lot of different ways. So kudos to Susan, and thanks for sharing that. So a lot of different ideas here. That's just a few of the content. I'm going to take you to my Google Classroom and show you how it actually looks there. My Google Classroom is a practice class. I have 2 students that I work with, unfortunately, just to see what's here. So I put everything in classwork, nothing really in the stream. And I have my current events, as you can see. I've got the before and after activity. I've got the practice Jamboard here. And I've got the Thunder over Louisville. This goes with that activity. So I've actually have a clip of Thunder over Louisville that they can view. So from there, they can kind of see Thunder, and then they can add to the Jamboard that we had created about Thunder. Whoops, there. So now I've connected those 2 pieces. They've actually watched Thunder over Louisville, and now they're still thinking about, what they wonder. Some poems might come from this. Some narratives might come from this work. There's a lot that could come from that, and I've supported them now with a video in the classroom. Another one, I always have take a virtual trip. So from here, I've got a trip to Belle of Louisville. It takes them on a virtual trip. That might spark them to add something to the Wonder Wall. It's here. They can go right to it. They have your choice reading. They have a daily log that they keep. And once again, that can go on the Wonder Wall. Their ideas can go there. They've got article of the day. They've got read and respond. And then this activity, I've connected it to a Time for Kids. I hope you all have all downloaded your Time for Kids magazine. because they are free digitally right now.
I did not know that. That's good information.
Yes, they are. You can load them up. So I've got them reading Protecting the Public. They're going to read this article here, but all of the articles are right here. They're going to read that article, and then they're going to create their own Jamboard. So they'll go here after reading that article. And once again, my kids wouldn't know their number. So number 1 would work on this chart, 2, 3, 4. I could number them so they would know which board was theirs. Of course, like you said, Steve, I would make sure that they have the parameters, they know the rules, it would be set. And then a kid might put a drawing of the virus, they might clip the book, they might put pictures of washing their hands, anything that they've learned after reading that article that I've provided for them.
That's great. And yeah, like I said, we have students collaborating on Google Docs. Students are going to be able to, using Google Classroom and things like that, and using the technology to work together, there's going to be more transparency than this was my paper, I put my name on it, I turn it in. So students might be able to see other students' work. Students might be able to mess with other students' work, and you just have to set those expectations that that's just not how we're going to do things, just like you would in the classroom.
Exactly. So that's what, I'm trying to get to the point that I'm using all of their sticky notes for me. I'm using it so that I can guide them toward bigger projects, bigger ideas, deeper learning, hence the deeper learning resource teacher. I'm always looking for ways to help them go deeper. So I've looked at science, just creativity, current events, all these different things. But the goal is to get them here. Student projects, having a choice of some activities that they can work on from home. They can do some research. They might even start a campaign. There's problem-based learning. There's all kinds of writing that can take place. I'm just mining their thoughts and their passion for what could become a deeper project. And if you look here, my colleague, Joe McKim, created a Genius Hour Journey kind of booklet. And here you'll see, going into her presentation, it's just a booklet. I mean, it really is something that they can go through and follow to get to Genius Hour. So now I've got something that I can do a lesson on. I can go through and I can walk them through their passion. What's your project? I remember that one sticky note that you had and you said this, and I can help them create it into something else. So now they're thinking, oh, was that a thick question? Was that a thin question? How can I plan this out? What can I brainstorm here? So now I'm going right into my Genius Hour passion project thinking with them, but now I'm equipped with their thoughts, their passion, things that they said, things they were curious about. I can now use those to help them get to a deeper learning of their projects.
I love that. And, we're always, good teachers always use the feedback to plan their next steps. And a lot of times it's hard to do if your feedback is on 30 different Google Docs or on 30 different pieces of paper. But to take all that feedback and put it in one spot is great. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So that's really where all this is leading toward. Yes, I want to hear their voice and I want to know what they're thinking and feeling and wondering. I want all that. But my reason for wanting that is twofold. I mean, of course, I want to build a relationship with my students. You can't get anywhere without that. But the second piece is I want them to start thinking deeply about something they're passionate about, and getting to these projects is actually the choice that I'm talking about for them to, kind of move towards what can I do with what I love, or what can I do with what I'm passionate about. So that's the move there. These are some of the examples. Like if I pulled these sticky notes off of the charts, If one kid's saying the coronavirus scares my little brother, I could maybe work with that kid to think about creating a picture book for their brother so that they're not afraid anymore. That's the information that I might give back to them. I can move towards, one kid saying, why do trees have flowers and some don't? Well, there's perfect research on trees in your neighborhood. So the possibilities are endless, but we have to start with where they are and what they're interested in. And this Jamboard is a perfect way for helping you to do that. Of course, we can't, have Jamboards without thinking about backpack skills. Who would I be?
Love it. Love
not
it.
think about backpack. So this is a Jamboard, and it says, which success skill do you want to work on from home? Choose a skill, place your name by it. So I'll show you that Jamboard. And it looks like this. And on each board, I've got prepared and resilient learner. Looks like Mandy wants to learn how to be a prepared and resilient learner. Next one, Jennifer wants to work on globally and culturally competent. And I can keep going from there. So hopefully when the kids start putting their names on here, which is just this simple, then I can get a group together. I could have a group of maybe 6 kids or 5 kids or whatever amount of kids that all say they want to learn to be globally and culturally competent. Now, for me as the teacher, I'm ready to work. I'm looking for ideas. I'm thinking of ways that at home they can prove that they are globally and culturally competent. I can pull those kids into a Google Meet and have conversation with them about what does it mean to be? How can we show that from home? Now I've kind of grouped my kids accordingly. If I've got some kids that say, I want to be an effective communicator, I can think back to some of the sticky notes that they had already provided and say, hey, you did say something about a food truck. How does your dad communicate? So now I've got some conversation with us, not even being in a classroom together, but I can walk through some of the information that they've already given me and use it.
That's great. And I love that not only is this a tool that teachers can use, but it's a tool that can help them right now. And they can learn how to use it right now to get that input from students and then carry it forward when things return to the new normal. Yes.
Exactly. So that's just, the collaboration. I can show you, for collaboration, your kids can collaborate and your teachers can collaborate. I mean, our department right now has a Jamboard, has a few Jamboards going where we are collaborating on different topics and putting sticky notes on boards. But it's just it's just a whiteboard. And once again, how teachers could come together in PLC and say, how might we teach this math unit? What do you have? What are some ideas? And everybody's kind of posting around and coming up with ideas together on how they can teach this unit, or what ideas do you have for this particular standard? And that may go in the middle, and everyone's kind of posting around ideas. And then from there, when you come together as a PLC, you pull this board up and now you're ready to have conversation about some of the things that was said. So teachers can use it. Students can collaborate. Once again, you can have up to 20 boards. So you can see I'm flipping through. You can put names on the top of boards so that kids know which board that they are to go to work on. Same thing with teachers. All of it is right here and ready to use. So there you go.
That's great information, Cheryl. Thank you very much. And it looks like we've had a lot of good conversation in the chat, and I don't believe there's any questions right now. Thank you for addressing the couple we had. Yep, and everybody's thanking you for the ideas and loved it. Jamboard is simple but powerful for right now. Yes.
And like I said, I mean, I would love it, eventually if in our district we actually have Jamboards, the actual Jamboard that could be in classrooms. I think that would be awesome. But, until then, I say we keep using what we're using and just go for it from there. So.
And like she said, I know we spent a lot of time talking about Jamboard. At the very beginning, she mentioned it's right there in your Google Drive. So you sign into Google, you click Drive, you click the waffle, you look at your options. Jamboard is one of them. So it's all right there for you.
always been there. And I must have gone to some PD on it at some point. I saw where I clicked on it in like 2019, and I probably clicked and had no idea what to do with it and turned it right off. So sometimes we, aren't ready for it. And I think now I'm noticing that we are totally ready for all that it has to offer.
So you turned it off in 2019 after looking at it once. Then in 2020, you're presenting how to use it. And that's the thing. There's so many teachers out there, and I love that. And I've watched my wife do this. There are teachers that are taking crash courses in technology tools, and they're going to be stronger for it. Yes, it's been tough, but I'm excited about what the future is going to bring, about how we take everything we're learning from this and moving forward. So thank you very much for sharing that, Cheryl.
Thank you all. And I think that I did not share or people are asking for permission. I guess I didn't put my slides on properly, so I will change that so that everyone has permission to the slides.
Okay. And let me know if you're having any problems with that. We'll get it taken care of.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
And coming up next, I'm going to JCPS NTI, jcps.me/NTI. And let's take a look at the virtual training schedule. And it is Thursday. Anybody else having a hard time keeping track of what day of the week it is? Yes, Thursday. I use the show to help keep my calendar straight. So that was Jamboard for Voice, Choice, and Collaboration with Cheryl Bibby. Her presentation's right there. You might want to wait a little bit. She is opening up the share setting on that so that everybody can make a copy of it. So, and this training schedule will be there. So if you had issues with it the first time, you might want to come back and she will get that fixed. Next up, we have Conscious Discipline COVID-19 Supports for Educators and Families, Part 1, pre-K through 5th grade. And we have Brian Clark and Julie Hilton and Allison Miller are here. And then after that, on the schedule is Immersive Reader for ELLs, and that's available on demand. So if you still want to do some more learning today after this next session, just put in a good day and finish at 3:30. You can go ahead and watch this available on demand. So let me hop on back to our Hangout, and looks like we have Brian and Julie ready to go. Who is going to start first?
Hello, sir. I'm Brian Clark. I am the manager of early childhood at Duval Education Center, and I'll be beginning today.
All right. Very good, Brian. Are you going to be presenting a slide deck by chance?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you prepared to share that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you can go ahead and get it shared, and then share your screen and go to the slide deck. And then on the bottom, if you can turn on closed captioning, and if you need any help with that, just let me know. And then we'll start in about 1 minute.
We do have a quick question. Allison is a presenter outside of JCPS. She's a partner, and she's having difficulty getting in. Will it only allow people with the JCPS?
Yes, it will. Sorry, but it looks like she's welcome to hang out in the chat and help answer questions. That would be great too. Was she going to be presenting something?
Yeah, she was the main presenter today.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Maybe my team will jump in and say something.
She thought maybe we could share if I pulled her up in a Zoom meeting, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, or maybe if you set up, if you set up a separate Meet or Zoom, whatever you were going to do, and share your screen. The only thing I would be worried about is audio issues, but you're welcome to give that a try.
Right. That's what I was trying to figure out, was the audio piece. Let's see.
But I have Matthew Balka and Sade, 2 members of my team, and they're jumping in there. And right now they should be reading her question. And we'll see. Hold on. Heather's letting me know. All right. We have the slide deck up. Do you have the closed captioning turned on, Brian? If you go, just hover over there on the bottom and then click allow. And yeah, you should be good to go when you speak. It'll, yep, there we go. We're picking it up.
All right.
And I have my team is working to get Allison access. But Brian, if you wanted to go ahead and start, you're welcome to. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. JCPS, welcome. Today we are doing providing a short training. It's a 2-part series, and we are covering conscious discipline. Conscious discipline is a social emotional framework that we utilize at Duval Education Center with our children. And during these times that we're going through, we all know that it can be challenging for our families and also for our students as well as us at home. So what we're going to share today are resources from the Conscious Discipline website. Right now at that website, all items are free, even their premium items. So we were going to walk through today the steps of how to get you connected to the Conscious Discipline website. And joining me today is Miss Julie Hilton. She is a curriculum coach with Early Childhood. And we hope to have Allison Miller joining us. She is with NCFL. So I will begin the presentation though, and hopefully soon we will get Allison to be able to join us. Conscious discipline and COVID-19 resources. Once again, this is part 1 of a 2-part series. The other series will be at the same time and location tomorrow. We're going to go over how to access Conscious Discipline online and register for premium access. Once again, all material there is free at this time. It is free. Well, we'll cover that here in just a minute. Right there, you see the address for the Conscious Discipline website. Feel free to use this slide. I believe the links are working. And you would be able to click on there and it would take you to the home page. Dr. Becky Bailey is the creator of Conscious Discipline. She has been working with the creation of this program and implementation since the 1980s. And that right there is just a picture of her. And on the front page, she has a welcoming for you. To set up a free account, you will go into the top corner. You will see the shop section and the login. You're going to click on login in the top right corner. Then complete the register box by entering your email address. Click register and you will receive a temporary password. Once you register at the Conscious Discipline website, you will receive an email that looks like this. It will have a link where you can access your account, and it will also have the temporary password that has been generated for you. You will see the temporary password on our slide here is in bold. Log in to your account with your email and your temporary password, and it's going to take you to this screen. And at this screen, you will be able to change any account details. This is where you will change your password and create it from the temporary one to the one of your choosing. We're not going to go into that into a lot of detail today. They do lead you through the steps. But I would highly recommend, of course, changing that password. That way you do know it for the future. Because I believe once you go through these resources, this will probably be a location you will want to come back to look for items for your classroom, whether it be virtual or even your real classroom, hopefully someday soon when we can all get back together. Once again, this is a look at the dashboard, what your dashboard will look like once you create an account. You will see, again, account details, tickets and teams. We're not going to cover a lot of that. Our goal today is to show you and to share with you how to get access. And we're going to focus more on the digital resources, the links and resources that you will have access to, and then also the download links. A lot of that information will come tomorrow. But please, as you create your account this evening or tomorrow morning, please feel free to explore Conscious Discipline, explore those free resources. And then tomorrow, we're going to show you how to connect those resources into your virtual classroom. So you have your digital resources, which is a great source to begin when you start your search through the website. When you get to the free resources membership, click on the Conscious Discipline in the top right-hand corner, and that will navigate you back to the home page. So if you're needing some tools on how to navigate, once you get back to the home page, you can begin to explore those resources. This is one resource we did want to share today. It's a social story, Schubert and Sophie Stay Home. You will find a number of these at the Conscious Discipline website under their COVID-19 resources. You'll also find webinars. There are some really good trainings on trauma through COVID-19 that are for us as adults, for our teachers and our educators, and also for parents that want to join the website as well. There are free printables that you can use, and then also virtual supports. The Schubert and Sophie story is a great way to explain the world around us right now to children that are in early childhood, but also I believe that our elementary friends could also find this valuable as well, especially for those primary years. So that would be one right off the bat that I would recommend exploring, because you can connect that directly to your classroom. That way your parents can access it if they're needing to have this talk at home with their child, or if they're struggling with that content.
That's great, Brian. Thank you. If you don't mind, I'm going to interrupt for a minute. I think we might have Allison on here. Allison, are you present? You just unmute and say something. I know we have someone else down there. It's just a blue icon. I was thinking it might be Allison joined. Okay, maybe not. I just wanted to give her a chance to jump in here. So yes, and I'm thinking that's Allison, but maybe she's muted and doesn't have video on. So Brian, you're doing a great job. You can go ahead and continue. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yep.
When you're looking through the COVID-19 resources, you will also come to the virtual support for educators, virtual coaching and training options. All of these will be available to you, but I would really pay attention to the right-hand side. There are also another language, this being Spanish. They offer their resources in Spanish to the families, so you may find that helpful as well. As you also see, there is the webinars that I discussed earlier, and premium resources. You do have access to the premium resources right now. Conscious Discipline has made those available as well for free. They will be free through the month of June, I believe. And there is discussion that they might extend that as well as we move forward through, the world that we're living in now. So, know that you will probably also have access to that after the June 30th date. But anything that you download too, you can keep at your computer as well for future use.
That's the great thing about a lot of these things we are learning on the Digital Learning Channel from the sessions is, we want to deal with what's going on right now, the NTI situation. But hopefully people will take what they're learning now. For example, last session was Jamboard, and use this and continue using it as we go forward to the new normal.
Yes, sir. And what you'll see here, guys, under the free resources as well, you have the COVID-19 virtual resources for educators. They have plenty of information, plenty of support that would help parents through these tough times. Also helping us as well to have those conversations to support families and to support our children. So I would highly recommend checking out their COVID-19 resources. Once again, those can be downloaded, those can be reused, and you can use those in your classroom, your virtual classrooms as well. The premium resource memberships are now free for 90 days. So you will see an area on the website where you can sign up for that. You will see the sign up button, you click there. Premium resources, you'll have to add it to your cart. That is one thing that Conscious Discipline does to track the people that are using their resources. I will show you later, though, that it does not ask you for any credit card information. You do not have to put in your home address if you did not want to do so. You could even use like your school address instead. Premium membership, it shows you here from free resources. Once you put that in your cart, you will see one item in your cart, and it will also display that down below to you that you now have that premium membership. Then you will go to the checkout. Pardon me, let me go back. I got a little click happy there. And at the checkout, you will see that there is a zero balance. There won't be anything for you to pay now or in the future. Once again, it's just a way for them to track the school people that are out there using their resources and the community members that are using their resources. This is an example of what Allison Miller did when she was creating an account. Once again, you can use a different street address. You could even use a different town and city if you wanted to. It is not company name. You could put JCPS. You could also name your school. They will not ask you for your credit card or billing information. Once again, I want to stress to you guys that all of this is free. It is free and available to you to use.
Teachers love free resources. Yes.
And then also we come to an official Facebook page that Conscious Discipline has out there. If you are big into the social media, I would encourage you to also check out their Facebook page. This is where a lot of educators share information as well about the program and materials. So if you're able and willing, also check out the Conscious Discipline Facebook page.
Any chance they also have a Twitter presence that you know of?
I believe that they do, but I believe they do the majority of their work out of Facebook.
Okay.
I have not seen the Twitter recently, but I have had the privilege of going to their Facebook page.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So questions. I know that we didn't show a lot of the actual materials today, but we wanted to get you connected because tomorrow is when we're going to be going down items such as the Wish You Well with Conscious Discipline, greetings, the importance of greetings, and also farewells. So we're going to go through a lot of those tomorrow, and then we're going to connect those to what it would look like in a virtual classroom, but also connect them to what it would look like in their home. That way the parents can make that connection as well of how they can use these resources in their home with their own children.
That's great. And what time will tomorrow's session be for those that would like to return?
Yes, sir. We will be here live tomorrow at 3:00.
Okay. Tomorrow at 3:00, same time, same channel. And we'll make sure that we can get Allison on here for you. We'll sort out whatever's going on with her joining the trainer link. And Brian, you did a great job presenting at the last minute. I know you probably weren't prepared to present that much. Way to step up.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. It takes a village, right?
Yes, it does. And I'm checking the chat right now. And it looks like we have a lot of people on the chat and they're saying hi, but we don't really have any questions at this time. So maybe when you get more into it tomorrow, we might see some more questions and takeaways about how they can use it. And I'm sure it'll probably help to have Allison be able to demo some of that material, and then they might have questions about that. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you don't have anything else to present, I guess you can go on and share your information there.
Yes, sir. Just where you guys know, at the tail end of the day of the first session slide, you'll see my information, also Miss Hilton and Miss Miller. As you begin this journey with Conscious Discipline, if you have some ideas or you want to share or you have questions, not just through NTI, but the future moving forward, please send us an email, reach out to us. We would love to be a part of your journey.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And like I said, that ends the live programming for today on the Digital Learning Channel. We do have some on-demand sessions coming up that you can watch. And also, I'm going to go ahead and take you all to the JCPS Digital Learning Channel on YouTube. And you can see this is where you came into the live shows. But I want to kind of show you how we have assembled lots of playlists. So, for example, you can come into... Let me get my search. So you can search, and let's say, for example, a lot of my students have gotten Chromebooks lately, and I'm getting lots of questions about Chromebooks. Come to the JCPS Digital Learning Channel, search for Chromebooks, and it will bring up a playlist about Chromebooks. We have how students sign into their Chromebook, How does my Chromebook work with my smartboard? Implementing a one-to-one Chromebook strategy, how multiple students can use one. So that might be something you share with your parents who are like, we have 3 kids at home and 1 Chromebook. So you see, we have lots of resources here. If you're new to using Google Classroom, I know my team, we are presenting at 9:30 on Monday and Tuesday how to use Google Classroom and Meet. But if you want to learn more about Google Classroom, you could just search for Google Classroom. And there's even for principals and Google Meet and Google Classroom and a parent's guide to Google Classroom. So I know that being technical support, I've gotten a lot of parents asking about how to access Google Classroom. And a lot of times I can just share this video and it'll help solve some of the problems they're having. But if you want to hear from our awesome Kathleen Receiver, how to use Google Classroom as a teacher. And then we have Google Classroom for Beginner and Google Classroom Intermediate. And these were sessions that were taped, recorded earlier. Sorry, I just showed my age by saying taped. They were recorded earlier during the first week of NTI. And we have recorded all of the live programming over the days. And our team is working diligently to edit those and get them broken into bite-sized pieces so you can come back here and say, hey, I saw that cool session Tuesday at 3 o'clock about Jamboard. I want to go find that again. You'll be able to come here, search for Jamboard and find those. So if you just saw it live or you want to revisit it or someone told you about something, you can always come back and see those videos, and we are working hard to get those up on the channel for you. Also, don't forget to follow JCPS Digital Innovation on Twitter. And there's one other thing I wanted to show you before I sign off. Earlier today, we had a great session on puppets. And if you search Good Computer Kids on YouTube, this will get you to Russ Hockenberry, my partner on the digital innovation team. When he was a technology teacher at Chenoweth Elementary, he got into puppet making and digital animation, and he made lots of cool videos. Let's go to the Good Computer Kids videos. He made lots of cool. So here's digital art, how to make a fall scene. Here's talks about coding. He's got his Good Computer Kids about coding, about digital audio workstations, troubleshooting computer issues. And they're mostly focused for early elementary, but they're all entertaining videos. So if you have your kids at home and they're dealing with technology now more than they have in the past because they have a Chromebook or are using your laptop to learn, and they need to learn more about technology, this is a good resource. You can have them go to Good Computer Kids on YouTube. They can learn about the home row keys, parts of a computer, and let me see some setting a home page, creating a presentation. Lots of good work, and it's all made by students for students. So that's Good Computer Kids on YouTube. Don't forget to check out the jcps.me/NTI and the NTI support page. And we have, so if you have parents that are asking questions, I know a lot of teachers are having parents ask them, you can point them to jcps.me/NTI. And there's a student toolkit and a parent and guardian toolkit as well. But let's take a look at what programming we have coming up tomorrow. It's Fun Friday. I don't know. I think last time on Fun Friday, some of our team members decided instead of dressing professionally, they were just going to wear a fun shirt or a fun hat. I haven't gotten the official word yet on if that's what's happening tomorrow. But if you are a presenter and you want to come wearing a fun hat or a fun shirt, sure, why not? It's Fun Friday. Let's have fun with it. So right now available on demand is how to use your Teacher Clever portal. So if you're a teacher at home using Clever with your students, this would be good information. Backpack of Success Skills at Home with Justin Elliott. Justin's a great guy. I'm sure that'll be a good session about, even though you're at home, we can still work on using those backpack success skills. Classroom management, for online learning. A lot of teachers are setting up these virtual classrooms and working with students on new technology tools. And we want to make sure that there's clear expectations and good management going on in the virtual classrooms, just like you would have in your actual physical classroom. Motivational morning meetings in the virtual pre-K classroom. I bet those pre-K students are missing morning meeting. So here will be some good ideas about how we can kind of bring that back through technology and through the students doing activities at home. And then Jamming with Jamboard, Elaine will be here. Elaine loves Jamboard, and she is a great presenter. So that should be a fun session as well. ECE, getting some ECE points for how to work with your unique learners and low-tech, no-tech students. And then using compelling and supporting questions to frame and focus learning. And then that will take us into our lunch break. And then we'll have tiered supports, checking for understanding with Study Island. Just an FYI, for those of you still following, there's been some Study Island issues. So if your Study Island roster is doing strange things, or you're getting questions from parents and students about Study Island, we are aware, we are working on it, and hopefully it will be sorted out soon. So maybe tell students like, okay, it's okay if you aren't able to get on Study Island today, we will try again tomorrow. And facilitating virtual restorative circles, self-care part 2, self-care sessions are always good. We want to make sure that students, parents, and teachers are taking care of themselves during this time. We also have NTI Our Tool and the Gifted Choice Boards. So Choice Boards has been a cool tool to come out of this for everyone. So thank you for joining me today and all our presenters. We hope to see you back here tomorrow. While you're here, make sure to click on subscribe to the JCPS Digital Learning channel so you can get updates on when we add new information. Hope everybody has a great evening, stay healthy, and hope to see you soon. Thank you.